Serious, what was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? My severance check. Apparently someone at the payroll company addressed it to me instead of ours. Opened it at my desk and laughed. Packed up my shitty and left. So those reports you wanted at the end of the day. Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do them. Also thanks for the severance check. I found a letter between my parents back when my dad was in the army 10 years before I was born. When cleaning out the house, he was saying how they should get a divorce because it just wasn't seeming to work out. When I was 16 they did end up getting a divorce. I've never talked to them about it. Edit. Phrasing. Leaving work late one evening, I saw the our director and CFO in a dark office shredding papers. No, that's not an euphemism. I didn't say anything but quietly walked on down the hall. 2 weeks later we were raided by the secretary and several people were charged with cooking the books. Back in 1997, I started work at a new job and took over the office of a salesman who had recently been fired. I was in it, using the same computer that had been set up for sales. My first task was to install all the software I'd need. The computer hard drive was almost full, so I poked around and found a ton of folders filled with pun. Went to my supervisor, and he said to delete it, warning me that the salesman had been fired for downloading pun. Over the next few weeks, I kept finding secret pun folders on the company's network. Not only had he downloaded enough pun to maximum out his computer's HD, he had the network at about 90% capacity. When I was done deleting all the folders I could find, the server capacity was less than 50%. Dude was seriously addicted to pun. Worked for a downtown metropolitan hotel for a long time, and I've seen a lot I wasn't supposed to see. Probably the worst was a kid with an old man. Checked this guy in at like 1 in the morning. Not uncommon because people travel to different times, but he was alone. Like an hour later he asked for something like a towel or blanket. Anyways, dispatched our runner to deliver it. After the runner comes to me and says he thinks something is wrong because he caught a glimpse of someone and the old guy was trying hard to block the entrance. Being that we were supposed to take stuff like human trafficking seriously, I asked our maintenance to cut his power so we would get a call to come up to try and fix the problem. He doesn't. I go up with him to apologize for the inconvenience because the guy was also a torture member. Sure enough we hear a kid in the bathroom hiding. Tried to ask who the kid was and the old guy tried everything to shut us down from throwing his status around to bribing. Called the cops and let them deal with it. Edit. Didn't expect this to gain so much traction. Here's some additional info for people that have been asking. I don't recall the specific charge or if I was even told so. Use your imagination. I don't know the age of the child. I only saw him briefly one time when the cops showed up. I don't know the age of the guy. This was in Southern California, as specific as it like to be. Just 2 days ago, at a community pool, a teenage couple who entered into the pool area went into the hot tub, stood up to stretch my legs, and looked over to, well, sex in the hot tub. It was midday. I cringed pretty hard. But I laughed even harder when the neighborhood cop showed up. Hot tub sex is a bad idea. That water is filled with chemicals and no good for the vagina. Sex in any pool of water is no good. The water takes away any lubrication, natural or synthetic. Shower sex, on the other hand. I once arrived early to pick up a girl for a first date. She was renting a small gardened apartment behind a bigger house. It was just after dusk, and I walked around the corner. The sliding door was standing open, and she was inside walking around, brushing her hair, wearing only her underwear. She did not see me, so I just walked back around that corner and waited another 10 minutes. When I walked round again she had a dress on. I never told her. Edit. Since a few asked. The date went well. I only got to see her underwear again several weeks later. You have to be careful later when she asks. Want to see my underwear? That you don't say. I already have. Thanks. Apostrophe. I was downloading a game on my uncle's computer. So I was looking for the files to complete the setup and I clicked on a file called games. Few videos popped up, so the curious girl that I clicked on one and there was it. A Chinese girl literally ducking her couch. That was my first pun experience. I was 7 and my sister was 5. And it doesn't stop there. We decided to show our mom. I'll never forget the trauma on her face. When I was about 16, I was snooping in my parents' wardrobe. Found a diary written by my mother when she was 14 from the year 1970. Read some beautiful and brilliantly written entries about meeting and dating my dad, who was 16 at the time. Had to read a little between the lines in some slightly later entries as they were written with such flowery language. In one such entry, all of a sudden she discloses that she's had an abortion performed by my grandfather, an anesthesiologist. She never told anyone. I was in elementary school playing basketball. I shot the ball, but it ended up going over the fence on the other side was someone's backyard. My teacher requested that after school I knock on the door of the house where the ball had landed to get it back, and so I did. I did not expect a woman wrapped in a towel with one of her nipples revealed to answer the door. I was shocked, but carried on with my mission. For those wondering, she stated she did not have the ball. I found a suitcase full of dildos under my mom's bed when I was 8. Back when I was a teenager, we hosted a New Zealander at our house for a couple weeks. Guy gets to our place after the flight, and about 10 minutes later I'm walking around my house to see where he's at. The door to his room is partially open, and the dude is laying face down on the bed and humping the ever-living duck out of a pillow. I backed away slowly like Homer when he saw Apu cheating on his wife. I felt bad for the pillow. Edit, for all of you asking, no, it was not a wool pillow, and it didn't resemble a sheep. My mom gave me an old laptop of hers when I was about 13, and I was scrolling through random pics she had left on it of my little brother's football games, and then boom, nudes of my mother. Around 3 years ago I met my wife's, then GF, mother. She was scrolling through pics she wanted to show me of my wife, and then boom, her titty pics. She had had reduction surgery. She was embarrassed, but we all just joked about it. Bonus story, I've also seen her sister scantily dressed for her profile pic of some odd Essex stuff she's selling, and that was on purpose. My wife was there. Bonus story, my wife accidentally painted the word dildo on my mill bed, so I guess we're somewhat even. I went to my ex-wife's best friend's wedding in Slovakia. Then a few weeks later we were visiting them where they lived, in the UK, and they had a party where they were showing all the wedding pictures that they themselves had taken. It was obviously the first time they had looked at them, what with the honeymoon and all the official photos, because in the middle there were some of the bride very naked. Years ago a colleague had an old smartphone that he brought in to give to another coworker as his broke. The phone was sitting on the new owner's desk, but she hadn't yet tried it out, as it was still charging after months of not being used. We were talking about how cool it was with the coworker. Smartphones were not widespread yet, and I picked it up to see how it felt in my hand. I pressed a button and the first thing that I saw was a Google search for lump on anus. I quickly put the phone back down. This must have been the last thing he searched for when he last used it a long time ago, and forgot about it. Borrowed my dad's camera. Found out he was gay. I love the simplicity of this comment. I do not possess the necessary linguistic capabilities to properly elucidate the gravity of the experience. When I was 11 I walked into my mum's bedroom and saw my mum and her husband doing a 69. We never spoke about it. Years later when I was 24 she walked into my bedroom and saw my BF naked with a boner. We never spoke about that either. My dad's AA chips. Learned it's why my parents got divorced. Proud of him for being in recovery though. Me and a friend snuck away from a house party at 2 AM once. We wanted to go to this local abbey. We were exploring the grounds and generally having a nice time when we see two cars stop nearby. Instinctively we hid in some bushes and witnessed what was clearly a large druga trade. We definitely were not supposed to see that. We waited for them to finish their business and then we headed back to the party. My camp counselor's penis locked the bathroom door buddy. Ahaha. This happened to me last night at a taco place. I quickly shut the door and went towards the other bathroom. Girl outside who saw everything was like, yeah, that one's free, but then it was locked. I just noped and went home to my pee funnel. Happened to a friend of mine. She was dating this dude forever. They broke up and he moved out. She was devastated. About a month later she was cleaning out old stuff and found a receipt for a ring that he had bought for her and never given her. That's how she found out that he had once intended to propose before he fell out of love with her. She was hurt pretty bad about that. I found invitations to my big surprise 18th birthday just lying on the floor a few weeks before the event. I had to act surprised when the time came to walk through the door to the party, which I did. The only thing is, my twin brother also knew, which I didn't know at the time, and let's just say his acting skills are really bad. So we both found out in different ways about the surprise party, but neither of us knew that we found out about it. So when I walked through the door for the surprise, I could tell from his reaction that he knew. Saw my parents having sex. Scarred me for a good 4 years and I forgot about it until you decided to make me relive the pain. No one's forcing you to watch your mom and dad have sex again, buddy. As a kid I saw the scene from Poltergeist where the clown pulls the kid under the bed. My entire bedroom was filled with clown pictures and toys. I was upset. My mom decorated my room in clowns when I was little and thankfully my dad made her take it all down. They were all ultra creepy. A few years ago a girl asked to charge her phone off my laptop. For some reason she granted the laptop file access, and whatever the Mac OS iPhone or import is called downloaded every single picture. Been 6 years since I used a Mac. This downloaded 400 pictures onto my hard drive without me learning about it until a week later or so. Many of them were sexually explicit Snapchats, mostly from guys. So I deleted everything and reformatted the hard drive to be safe. It was all unwanted. And the last thing I needed at 16 was to be harboring a bunch of nudes of my classmates. Back in the day, I would try to download anime episodes and clips off of P2P services. This was either days of Kazaa, before people widely recognized that P2P programs were hives of illegal pun. And I'm one of the kids who was introduced to all sorts of disturbing stuff this way. The worst, though, was a small clip of a crying girl, late teens, 20 at the most. It was only about 10 seconds long, but at about the 6-second mark, about the time I was sighing and saying ugh. Of course this isn't Goku. Someone shot her in the head. I hadn't even noticed the gun at her temple until her skull was shredded to pieces. Every once in a while, I remember that, and it makes me wonder who she was, who mourned her, and what sort of sick person films that. Edit. Lots of folks are saying the video might have been a fake. Even a well-known one. I sure hope so. 10-year-old me didn't know that. Of course. It didn't mess with me too badly, but I never got the thought of how blood in the movies is never quite a dark enough red out of my mind. I look back as a first childhood generation with access to the internet. It's incredible how our parents underestimated the power of the internet and assumed it would never take off. This led to a ton of scarred children and teenagers discovering that people from all over the world were capable of sharing absolutely ducked up videos before the WWW and P2Ps were more regulated. I'm right there with you. I saw so much shit when I was a kid that I shouldn't have. Happened when I was 7. I found the Tom and Jerry DVD I had lost in the back of a drawer. In celebration, I decided to watch it again. By the time my mother walked into the living room and saw me watching a threesome, I was already scarred for life. She took away the entire DVD collection. Similar thing happened when I was a kid at my grandma's. She set me up in her adult stepson's bedroom while the adults upstairs did whatever, I can't remember. And after looking through his movie collection decided on a Spice Girls VHS to keep me entertained. Turned out it was some Spice Girls pun parody. And when she came back to check on me, she quickly realized and pulled the tape out. I think she was more scarred than I was. I was a very young and forgetful girl, so I don't remember anything specific about it other than it was really dirty. Like this video and this good boy will be your mailman forever. We are Redditation. And we redditate every day. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. Until then, check another video. Or don't. Either way, have a wonderful day you magnificent people.